And welcome to another Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25, the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University. I'm Dean Beckman, Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau joining us again. And today our primary feature is women's basketball. Their season is going terrific, so we've invited the assistant coach on, Jenna Freudenberg, along with post player Courtney Euerle. Now, Courtney joined us here on the Cardinals Nest last year, so you're a wily veteran to this show, Courtney. But this is Jenna's first time on. You've been Mandy's assistant for years, but we haven't had you on the show before, so welcome, and we'll begin with you, Jenna. So tell us how you ended up coming to St. Mary's as Mandy's assistant. Where are you from? How did you get started playing basketball? And then how did you, in a roundabout way, end up at St. Mary's?
I grew up in Parkers Prairie, so the central Minnesota area. And that's kind of closer to, obviously, Concordia, where I ended up going to college. And I came in the year that Mandy graduated from Concordia. And so we had some mutual teammates, so there'd be a few functions every now and then where we'd kind of run into each other. And then she was coaching at Hamlin against me at Concordia. And then for 2 years. And then in my junior year, she came down here to St. Mary's. And then my senior year, she called me and just said, "Are you interested in coaching? I have an assistant coaching position open. I'd like you to apply." And then it's kind of history.
The rest
from there.
is history.
Yeah.
So she actually had a chance to scout you when you were playing for Concordia and she was coaching with Hamlin, right?
Yeah, she did. Kind of funny story about that is I was in a free throw shooting slump. I think it was my junior year, and to start the year, I couldn't make my free throws, and it was all mental, one of those things. And I knew just the kind of coach she is, she was going to single me out at the end of the game, and if it was a close game, she was going to make sure they fouled me, which is a smart play by her. And so I just mentally prepared, and at the end of the game, sure enough, it was like a 5-point game. I think we were ahead. Concordia was ahead at St. Mary's, and you know, a good free throw shooter on our team would have the ball, and don't foul, and then as soon as I get it, it'd be hacker foul, you know. And then, so I'm just like, all right, you know, and I went down, and I ended up making all my free throws down the stretch, and I think we ended up winning by like 7 or something, roughly like that. And ever since then I shot, I think, like 80% from the line, so I always thank her for, you know, fixing my free throws.
All right,
so
good.
It's kind of a funny story.
And Courtney, I know we've talked that you've been on before, but for those that are watching this for the first time, tell us a little bit about your background, and I know you're from Litchfield. How did you end up here at St. Mary's?
Well, I ended up here at St. Mary's through the coaching staff, and they recruited me. That's how I first heard about it, and that was between St. Ben's and St. Mary's, and I ended up visiting here and seeing the team and stuff and liking it more, so that's how I ended up down here.
All right, so, well, Jenna, now your team is coming off a big win at St. Olaf on Wednesday, 11 wins overall, 8 wins in the conference as we talk here. Certainly, you and Mandy have to be very pleased with the direction that this season has taken, and really the life that your offense has shown here the last couple of games.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to see our offense start clicking a little bit. We'll put a little bit of that on the coaching staff with when we played against zones early in the season. I don't think we quite prepared them as well as we should have, but we've been putting in some more time at practice with zone offense and getting them to flow a little bit better together. So we've been able to be more comfortable in knocking down shots, since this year we have been seeing a lot of zones. But yeah, we've been taking care of business against the teams that, you know, that we need to beat. There's no give-me games in this conference, and I think our team does a really good job of understanding that and coming into every game knowing how important it is to, you know, to have that mindset to take care of business when it needs to be.
Courtney, talk a little bit about how you, as one of the returners, keeps the team grounded. Last year you made it to the MIC playoffs, and I know talking to you guys many times that's not enough this time around, but you're having a lot of success. Like Dean said, you're 8-3 in the conference, you're up in that upper half, you know, even battling for a conference title. How do you make sure that you stay grounded and focused on every game as they approach?
I think it's just to take every practice and game day by day. Like, don't look ahead to certain games that are coming up, even if maybe like not as a good team we're playing, but then we're playing a really good team like the following Saturday. Like, just focus on that team and take the team one at a time, and then eventually you'll get to that team, and then you'll be ready for them by then.
So, Jenna, we shouldn't talk about next Wednesday's game against St. Thomas?
No, absolutely not.
And focus on Augsburg on Saturday?
No.
You know, as a coaching staff, how do you do that? Because there are teams, as you said, you need to take care of the ones that you're supposed to beat. There are no easy games, but there are teams that technically you're probably better than skill-wise. How do you make sure that you stay focused on those games and not look ahead to a game like next Wednesday, which is a very important game against St. Thomas?
You know, I think we try to focus a lot on ourselves, on reaching our potential as a team. So we take each practice as, this is what we need to work on defensively. This is what we need to work on offensively. And it's hard in January and February because you are doing a lot of scouting and a lot of prepping for the next team. But we try to spend the majority of the beginning of a practice working on drills that will help us in the game, but not necessarily talking about how, the game. It's talking about how that helps us get better. And then just focus on each opponent, never get ahead of ourselves, kind of taking it day by day.
Courtney, you enjoyed probably the luxury of 2 weeks of just basketball with break. That's over. Back into the schoolwork. And really with the conference schedule that you have, you play a lot of games in a short amount of time. How do you make sure to keep that balance between academics and athletics? Because, as they say, you are a student athlete and student usually comes first.
I think it's when you do have free time during the day is to spend it during doing schoolwork. I found out my freshman year I'd take naps in between school or my classes, and now I'm actually doing my homework that's due the next day in between the classes. So I think that's helped me overall tremendously.
I was just glad she said taking naps in between classes, not in classes.
I'll vouch for her because I think her freshman and maybe even sophomore year, there was usually about 3 times a week that I'd walk into the locker room and Courtney'd be zonked out on the couch and just getting her snooze in between classes.
As a coach and player, it is tough because you look at your schedule, and really if you look at the last 2 weeks that you guys had, last week you went Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, you had Monday off, you play Wednesday, Saturday, and the next week it's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday again. There's a lot of games and a lot of preparation that comes into it. And as a coaching staff, how do you make sure that that they're not taking naps and focusing on the books? Because there's a lot of time where you're worried about basketball, but you've also got to be worried about the academics too.
I think we have some pretty good people in our program who are good students and understand, where their priorities are and that their family's important and that school's important, just as well as basketball. So they do a pretty good job of monitoring themselves, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but we don't do team study tables or anything like that. We just have a GPA incentive. If they meet a certain GPA as a team, then they're taking care of business and we don't have to worry about it too much.
Courtney, talk a little bit about this year's team in that this appears to be the deepest team that Coach Pearson's had in her time here, and that's got to make it a little bit easier for you and for Jess Stone and for Jamie Steffley, in that you don't have to carry the load, so to speak, as maybe you did a little bit more last year.
Yeah, I think we're well-rounded all together, and even we can go to our bench. We can have 6, 7, 8 girls play a game, and contribute all really well. So that has helped, and then I think it's also helped in practice, the skill level and stuff. It's pushing everybody to further potential.
I think, Jenna, talking about that, just look at the St. Olaf game. You've got 4 people in double figures, and those kind of things are something that, as a coaching staff, you guys haven't had that luxury in the past, and it must be nice to be able to shuffle people in and not have to rely on 3 people to really carry the load.
Right. Yeah. Our bench has helped us a lot this year. We've had different people step up at key times. We have a couple players coming off the bench who would start on a lot of teams in our league, and luckily for us, they've embraced their role. I mean, Octavia Brown came off the bench last night and had a great game. She always goes in and guards the best perimeter player out there. She raised our team to a whole new level. When other people maybe are subbing and their talent level's dropping, we're subbing and we're not skipping a beat. So, and then we can go even deeper and get people to step up as well.
Talk a little bit. I don't want to focus on the offense, even though you're really are coming into your own. But really, the success of this team so far this year has been defensively. You guys are an amazing defensive team. What is it about this team that makes them so good defensively?
They just work together. They work hard. They embrace it. We talk a lot about defense, and we focus a lot on the fundamentals of defense. I mean, we talk footwork and positioning and where you should be, 2 passes from now, and just getting yourself mentally prepared for that. And then Courtney does just a phenomenal job of communicating in the post and getting everyone on the same page. And when she can lead from behind and communicate with everybody, with our guards putting on the ball pressure they do, we just flow as a unit. And it's the team defensive part of it that really takes us to that next level.
And it seems to me you're a very unselfish team, and I think that's really starting to show offensively now. Courtney, I know you're getting a little bit more offensively involved compared to what you were earlier in the season. And I think an unselfish team is also a defensive-minded team because of that. If you're going to play good team defense, you have to be unselfish because you're not worried about getting the ball offensively. Is that sort of the philosophy that the team goes into it with?
I don't think there's anyone on this team that is selfish in that way. We have certain people that we know, that Jamie Steffley, we know if we, want a big basket, we can drive and kick to her, and everybody kind of understands that, but I don't think there's anybody that's selfish wanting to be that person that has to score all those points. I mean, we work together, we find the open person. There's games where Courtney has a huge advantage because she's a 6'1" player that plays the 4 position. And in our league, we run into quite a few teams who will have somebody who's 5'9" at that position. So then in those situations, we can run some plays to get Courtney the ball. And it's kind of neat. I don't even know if you knew this, but I think it was both Bridget and Jamie came up to me after we used that game plan against McAllister. Then the next game we played, I don't remember exactly who it was, but somebody else who played a shorter player at the 4, and they're like, are we going to do those same plays for Courtney again at the 4? Because that seemed to really work. And we're like, yeah, that's going to be our strategy again. And they're like, okay, good, because we like that idea.
But isn't it interesting, Courtney, that you've got, teammates are thinking about the team and what's going to be successful for the team. A lot of times you get players or teams that, they have a very talented player and that person wants the ball all the time. You don't have that with this team. There's been games that you've led the team in scoring and there's been times that Jess has, but really, to me, it seems like the other people, aside from the returners, are really the ones that are making this team kind of click.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this team. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, even the people who don't get in games, they're still cheering just like if they were in the game. Like, they're still engaged and things like that. And we honestly really don't care as long as we win at the end of the game, and we're all just happy about that.
And I think another example of that is you've incorporated this year some new players into the lineup. The freshman Bridget Pethke, a good example. She came out and had just a tremendous game in that when you scored 85 points against Bethel. We had that game on Channel 25 here, and so a good example. You've incorporated new players, yet still maintain that unselfish play and probably playing as better as a team than ever before.
Yeah, we're really coming along together as a team, and I think Courtney said it best when it's not just the players on the court. It is literally every single player on our team who helps that. And you could see it last night. I think Courtney Athnos took a charge at St. Olaf, and our bench went nuts, and all the players on the court, ran and picked her up. And they were so excited about that just because we always talk about a charge being such a team play, an energy play. That's you doing whatever it takes for your team. And I think that's what is taking us to that next level this year, this plays like that, and our bench getting excited.
Courtney, as a returner, we kind of know what your role is off the court of being a leader and making sure everyone's doing what they need to do to be ready. But describe or talk a little bit about what your role is on the court and what this team needs from you to be successful.
I think that one big thing is defensively, because I'm in the post usually, so I can kind of see everything. So maybe direct people and then maybe even yell screens, even if it's not my girl, so they kind of are aware of that. And then just making everyone comfortable. Even if someone does something bad, just go up to them, pat them on the back, say it's okay. We all make mistakes, and then just continue on from there.
Donny has touched on this a little bit, but Jenna, how do you and Coach Pearson really keep this team focused on looking forward? You've had such a good start to the season, but what matters now is what's coming up next. So how do you try to keep this team, their vision and their focus on future upcoming games and not on their success of the past?
I think it just has a lot to do with our team being hungry to be successful. They're not satisfied with, oh, we had a good start or anything like that. It's, we know we can be better. We want to see how good we can be. And that comes from one game at a time. Can we beat Augsburg on Saturday? We believe we can, but let's go prove it. And it's, yesterday was, can we beat St. Olaf again for the second time, for the third time in a row? We know we can, but we have to go prove it. And I think it's just taking it step by step to see where we can go together that really helps them just stay focused.
And as we see on the schedule here, the home game next Wednesday against St. Thomas will be right here on Channel 25.
Don't be looking ahead. Remember, we're not doing that. We're focusing on Saturday. I think one of the things that I've noticed with this team, and I think is pretty impressive, is you've put together a 5-game winning streak and you've put together a 3-game winning streak, but you have not lost back-to-back games. And to me, that really says a lot about a team, because you lose a game, you don't let it affect you, and you do kind of focus on the next one. Courtney, how do you do that? I mean, you know, losses are part of the game, but how are you guys able to bounce back the way you do?
I think we just have to learn from why we lost, and then next day in practice bring that to it, and then you just have to move along. Like, you can't dwell on the past or you're not going to get anywhere in the future. So that's kind of our mentality by it.
All right. Well, there we see the conference standings, and St. Mary's in good position. Some big games coming up, and so good luck this weekend and the rest of the season here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jenna Freudenberg and Courtney Euerle from the women's basketball team. Stay tuned. Donnie and I will be back on the Cardinals Nest to talk about the other St. Mary's winter sports right here on Channel 25.
Winona Homes was offered a deal from another company.
I switched to another company because they made some promises and I was going to get a better rate, so I switched.
But when she tried their deal, she ran into some issues.
The other company that I was with wasn't local. You couldn't even get somebody to come to your office.
At HBC, customer service is our #1 priority for your business. Let's just say Jenny is a lot happier now.
I have never had such fast customer service.
To see how HBC can help your business, call Melanie at 474-5802.
A state-of-the-art fiber optic network. Sure, you've all heard that. But what does it mean? Well, if you're an HBC customer,
It's television in crystal clear high definition and whole home DVR. Blazing fast internet speeds, perfect for gaming or movies. Phone service with your choice of features, including unlimited long distance. And now, HBC has expanded service throughout much of southeast Minnesota. Call today and see what it's like to be on a state-of-the-art fiber optic network with a local company receiving national recognition for their service.
You know, we're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, you know, TV, perfect. Laura, she is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. I mean, anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously, have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donny Nadeau, as we take a look now at the other winter sports. And Donny, in men's basketball, they had a big win against St. Olaf. It was a double-header victory for the Cardinals as the women's got things started with a big win, and then the men followed up with a big win of their own. Yeah,
it's been a really good week for the Cardinal men, and I keep thinking back to you know, what Coach Landrum and Coach Walkenfuss actually said at the end of the semester, and that was, I can't wait for next year, you know, the 2013 portion of the schedule to see what this team can do when they're healthy. And right now they're playing extremely well. They've won 2 of their last 3 games, big win over Bethel last Saturday, and then the win against St. Olaf on Wednesday. And you know, we talk about total team efforts, and really right now that's what the Cardinals are doing. They're getting performance from a lot of people, and you certainly, you know, have to single out Mike Burfine. He continues to just prove why he's one of the best forwards in the conference, and you know, Evan Peterson had another big game as well. So those two have been leading this team all year, and they continue to do it. And you know, I think some of the younger guys are kind of feeling a little more comfortable in their roles, and you've certainly got to tip your cap to Will Swigum. Wednesday night, he had a double-double of 13 points and 13 rebounds. And ironically, his second collegiate double-double, and both of them have come against St. Olaf. So I think Swigum would probably like to play St. Olaf every game if he could. But, you know, I think the team is really starting to gel. They're getting healthy, and they're playing very well. They're playing very well right now, and I think that's good to see.
And we had a chance to see them against Bethel, and they held the leading scorer in the conference completely down in that game. And I think Michael Burfine, they could not hold him down. So he really, I thought, in that particular game, vaulted himself and showed that he is one of the best players in the conference.
No
when
question.
They try to stop him, they can't.
Yeah, I really don't think you can stop Mike. You can try to contain him, but you can't stop him. And the beauty of it is if they do try to do that, if they try to focus on Mike, then Evan is talented enough at the point that he's going to get the ball to the person that's open. And you know, Evan did a nice job of picking when to shoot and when not to shoot against Olaf. He had 13 points and six assists, and so Will did a nice job, and so they're getting a lot of good offense. But I think it goes to their defensive play, and you brought up the Bethel game. They shut down Taylor Hall, who was averaging 22 points a game. They held him to 9 points. That's not Mike Burfind alone doing that.
And he didn't get most of those until very late.
Exactly. He had 2 points in the first half. So it's like that's a total team effort. That's a game plan that the Landrums put in, and really the team followed to a T. And I think that's a testament to this team adjusting and really starting to get comfortable with themselves and how they can play. And I think that their confidence is getting better. You look at the win against Bethel and the win against St. Olaf, both teams that are really in that mix for one of the playoff spots, and knocked them both off. So the key now is if they can keep it going. They've got a big test on Saturday against Augsburg, which is number 3 in the conference right now, and then they've got Hamlin on Monday, and then they go to St. Thomas, the number 1 ranked team in the nation, on Wednesday. So it's a tough stretch for them. They're heading into their 3rd straight week of 3 games in a week. So it's been a lot of basketball in a short amount of time, and you just hope that they can stay energized, because that's really taxing to play that many games in a short period.
And Donnie, the men's basketball team getting that big win against St. Olaf, one of the key contributors lately, and he did not play much early in the season, Brian Thomas. He's fun to watch out there on the court, really likes to exert his offensive game, which has kind of blossomed into its own here his senior season.
No question. He really has stepped into his own, and he's become one of those players that Coach Landrum can rely on off the bench to really give the team a spark. He's got a great shot from the outside, and he's not afraid to take the shot if it's there. And the nice thing for the Cardinals right now is when he gets that opportunity, he's knocking him down, and certainly been a really bright spot for the Cardinals this year.
All right, as we move ahead now and take a look at men's hockey, speaking of big wins over Bethel, the men's hockey team played a doubleheader. Friday at home against Bethel, Saturday it was at Bethel. They end up winning both games, hard-fought contests, 4-1 though on Friday night. Then they go on the road on Saturday night, win 5-1. This is a team right now that is really hot. They take on St. Thomas this weekend. Should be a great matchup.
No question. And you go into that Bethel series, and you're facing, at that time, one of the top 2 teams in the conference, and you come away with 2 wins by a combined score of 9-2. That's really saying something. And I know Coach Moore has really harped on the guys that they've got to play better in their defensive end. And I think if you look at the 2 non-conference games that they played before the Bethel series, that's a perfect example. You get outscored 12-2 and 4-0. You've got to do a better job defensively. They turn around and play Bethel and hold them to 2 goals. Tip your cap to the team playing great defense, but also tip your cap to Andy Scheib in goal. He had a very good weekend, and really, especially on Friday night, he made a couple of saves that kept the Cardinals in the game. Bethel scored first in that game on Friday, and Andy made a couple of big saves that kept it a close game, and then the team broke out and really got that offense going. 4 different people scored on Friday night. Bobby Thompson had 3 points, which was a great performance from him. He continues to just really flourish this year on that line with Mike Hill. And then on Saturday, both Mike Hill and Nick Gorup each have 2 goals, and Griffiths has the other one. And so again, they're getting scoring from so many different people that it's really tough for a team to focus on one individual or one line, which wasn't the case last year. You look at all those games that they played, all those 1-goal games that they played last year. The problem was they had a team that could focus on one line, and they could shut that line down, and it pretty much shut the Cardinals down. This year they can't do that because every line has proven that they're lethal, and every line continues to contribute, and I think that's really been the secret to their success right now.
All right, so big weekend. So Friday night they're home to St. Thomas, and then on the road at St. Thomas there on Saturday. And I know we were talking, Donnie, after last Friday night's game. This is such a team sport, and they're really all contributing, but they're in hockey. You can always tell the players who are always around the puck, they tend to stand out a little bit. You mentioned one, Bobby Thompson. Mike Hill is another one. Those 2 individually are having very noticeable seasons.
No question. When you've got Mike Hill, he's got 9 goals and 10 assists. He leads the conference in goals, assists, and points. Yeah, he's one that he's not going to.
He's a freshman, right?
And he's a freshman. He's not going to surprise anybody anymore. Everybody knows who Mike is, and they know that he's talented. But again, the beauty of it is, if a team focuses on trying to shut Mike or Bobby down, there are other people that are going to step right in. You know, it's funny that we've had these, these conversations for weeks now, and we haven't mentioned much about Austin Belko, Kevin Wentland. Two guys that were, all conference and all conference honorable mention and leading scorers for the team last year. And right now, they're the threats that teams really need to watch out for, because you shut Mike Hill's line down. Now all of a sudden, Belko and Wentland are going to turn loose, and hopefully the Cardinals will have that same success. They're just so deep on the offensive side that they can try to shut them down. I just don't think they can do it.
Donnie, you are always educating me, and you made me go to YouTube so that I could learn about ice cross downhill. I have never heard of that before, but David Gross, a former men's hockey player who played, 6 years ago for the Cardinals, he is now competing in a big national event. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they call it the Red Bull Crashed Ice, and it's basically you're skating down a course that's set up. It's about 140 feet long and about 40 feet up, and you go downhill, and you're racing against 3 other people and trying to get to the finish line first. And David tried out among 400 competitors up in the St. Paul, and the top 60 of them qualified for the Crashed Ice, which will be at the end of January. And David was the 4th fastest qualifier, so he gets his shot at the big stage. And I talked to him earlier this week, and he's very excited, very nervous, but knowing David and having coached him when he played here, he'll go at it full speed, and he doesn't know any other gear, so it'll be interesting to see how he does.
Right, it's a little bit similar to a downhill skiing competition, except you're on skates and you're on pure ice, and you're going at about 40 miles an hour downhill.
And it should be fun. I mean, I can't imagine doing it. No. I can't imagine David doing it, but it's the latest craze, and hopefully he'll do well.
And Donnie, the women's hockey team, they have been off now for a little while, but they've got St. Thomas this weekend, 2 o'clock start on Saturday up at the Ice Arena.
Yeah, they haven't played since that first weekend in January when they split with Eau Claire. Just a quirk in the schedule that gave them last weekend off, so they'll gear up again this weekend against St. Thomas. St. Thomas is one of those teams that is always tough in the conference, and we always have great games against them. And I know I just talked to Coach Manor earlier this morning, and he's excited about getting back into the conference action and trying to climb up that conference ladder and get into that playoff picture. Still a lot of hockey left. They're only basically, you're only 6-7 games into the conference season, so there's a lot of hockey left to be played, and they're looking forward to getting into that conference playoff mix.
Is it at all unusual that they had this past weekend off since they had just come off that long Christmas break?
It is. It was the last weekend of conference or non-conference play, so they just didn't have any more non-conference games to play, and it just worked out that way. That they had another weekend off. Yeah. Probably a good time to you're probably a little sore from not having played over the Christmas break, so it probably gave them a time to rest up and get ready for this weekend.
And speaking of this weekend, swimming and diving, they'll be at St. Thomas, an invitational there, and they're coming off of their Alumni Open. Yeah,
it'll be a big weekend for them because they have not really competed. They had that alumni meet last weekend, which is kind of a fun meet. But they're back in action up at St. Thomas at the Meet of the Saints this weekend. And then really they've only got 3 more competitions before the MIC Championships. So this is a very important meet for them to get back into that swing of things and get into the gears of getting ready for tapering and getting ready for the conference championships.
Definitely a busy time for the winter sports season. The spring sports seasons will be starting up soon as well. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest on HBC.